Alright, I just wanted to show you what the system had to start with. Currently there's an insert here on the end of this 2-inch leg. Then we have some nuts to help it adjust, and then we have a foot. That's the current system. I did not want to drill into the leg, but I also need to allow for my platform space here. Alright, so I didn't just jump to, having my 2-inch leg. And then I found a number of different ways to do it. This one was one of the patterns I found on the fire share. This one, you bolt your caster to it, and then you bend up this ear on this side and this ear on this side, and then you put a bolt through the leg. I really liked that one for a long time because it also had an allowance for a shelf over here. But since I went with a different shelf, I kind of said, that's probably too much. I also didn't want to bolt through the leg. All right, so I cut it, but I scrapped it. The next thing I came up with was, I saw this out there. This was kind of a neat little thing. This was a two-piece. There's two pieces here, and they're kind of fit together. And the cool thing about that is you would have just welded that, to the caster plate, and then, bolt the caster to the bottom of it. And that was good. And then this leg, this just kind of fits up in the leg, but then there's really nothing kind of holding it in the leg. But I don't think that was such a big issue, but my problem is I already had those leveling feet in there. So I would have had to somehow rip those leveling feet out of the inside of the leg. So I love this one, but I also scrapped that one. And then this is what I came up with. I said, well, you know what? What if I put a sleeve around the 2-inch leg? Here you go. So the sleeve will go around the 2-inch leg. And I picked a piece of 2.5-inch square tubing. But then I said, okay, well, that'll fit. Well, then I got my caster plate over here, and well, at first glance you go, darn it, I messed up. But then the good thing about having mocked up pieces and thinking about outside of the box, if you turn it like that. If you look here now, I have plenty of room. I have plenty of room to do my bolts. And it doesn't hurt if this caster leg is rotated. So that kind of solved that idea. So this I'll weld to this plate here. And then this hole in the center, what I'm going to do is reuse that mount for the leg. I'm going to reuse that bolt. So what I'll have is I'll have the caster plate here, and then I'll put a bolt through it, and then use the existing bolt and then suck this up onto the leg. And then after it's bolted to the leg, then I'll mount my casters. And then I also checked that, here's my caster and it's mounted on the plate. I also made sure that there was a head relief inside this caster. You can tell here there's a little bit of a relief. So there was enough relief here so that I didn't have to raise it off of that plate. I could bolt it up to it if I need to. But then I was like, well, what about adjusting it? So then I was like, well, you know what? And if I was going to adjust it now, this plate is bolted to the, it's mounted here, and all of that is bolted to the leg. Then what I figured, I can just, I'm going to move it around the shop, but I'm only going to really use it in a couple positions. What I can do is then shim out this plate with washers. So this is kind of the final idea here. Again, we have the leg. This is the existing leg, the adjuster support, the nuts, the cap. And again, I'm reusing this adjuster support here. So now what I'll have is I'll have the leg. I'll leave that adjuster thing inside. I'm going to make this 2.5-inch cap caster plate here. And then I'm going to bolt the caster on it. And then if I need to adjust it, here you go. Then I'm going to just stack washers in here, lift it up, find out how much it needs, and then adjust it. This thing really doesn't have to be exact. The main thing is you want it level so that whenever you fill your water bed that you don't, it doesn't slosh out of one corner. So that's the plan. Now let's go and build it. All right, let's measure twice and cut once on these leg caps. Here we go. Now we get to have some CNC plasma table fun. Here we're going to cut out the caster plates for this assembly. Alright, I want to go ahead and include this little extra here. Get a little bit of slag. I still need to dial in my CNC plasma cutter a little bit. So what I use is I use that big chisel to kind of chip it off. It chips off pretty easy. And then I was just touching up those bolt holes with that angle grinder with the flap disc on it. So anyway, this is what I do to clean up the parts. Alright, now that I got these parts cleaned up, what I'm doing here is I'm just test fitting all those bolts to make sure everything lines up and all the bolts work and all the bolts are the same before I weld that assembly together. Well, I think you know what time it is. It's welding time. I was glad I recently built that lower shelf for the Crossfire Pro. What I was able to do is put that jack right in the middle of that shelf and then jack it up and put some boards under it to hold one side. I didn't feel like I could go all the way up, so I went up about 4 or 5, I think it went 5 boards up. Then I went ahead and jacked up the other side to 6 boards is what I was planning on putting under. That way I had enough room to take the old assembly off, and then I was able to bolt the new assemblies on. Had plenty of space. I was pleasantly surprised that these feet came off as easy as they did. It really helped having this thing supported, and it was pretty stable. And I just had to take that bolt out that I was going to reuse to hold the new pieces on, and I was good to go. Well, I finally made it to final assembly and was able to mount all these end caps on and load up the wheels. Everything went along pretty well, and I think you'll see the outcome is really nice.
I think this calls for a little celebration dance. Yeah. Alright. That's what I was looking for. Making it level. Alright. I think I've got wheels now. And better yet, it moves nicely. And also has locks. Well, thanks for coming on another project adventure with me. Hopefully you enjoyed watching this and you learned something along the way. So as usual, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to go on future adventures with me, hit the subscribe button. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.